The champagne flute trembled in my hand, expensive crystal catching the golden light of the chandeliers above. I shouldn't have been here. The Sterling Hotel's grand ballroom was a cathedral of wealth I'd never belonged to. All marble columns and silk drapes that probably cost more than my entire year's salary as a catering server. The air smelled of imported roses and money, that peculiar scent of designer perfume mixing with the kind of confidence only the truly wealthy possessed. I adjusted my black uniform, making sure the white apron sat perfectly straight. Invisible. That's what we were supposed to be. Ghosts moving between the glittering guests, refilling glasses, clearing plates, existing only to serve. "More champagne here," a woman's voice called out, sharp and entitled. I moved toward her table, my worn flats silent against the polished floor. My feet ached. 3 hours into this shift and we had 5 more to go. The tray felt heavier with each step, but I couldn't afford to show weakness. I needed this job, needed the tips that would help pay for the tiny studio apartment I could barely afford after the divorce. After Marcus, I pushed the thought away, focusing on pouring champagne with steady hands. The guests didn't even look at me. To them, I was furniture, a function. I preferred it that way, honestly. Being noticed meant being vulnerable, and I'd had enough of that to last a lifetime. "Emma, table 7 needs attention," my supervisor hissed as she passed, her own tray loaded with hors d'oeuvres that looked like tiny works of art. Table 7 sat in the corner, partially hidden by an ornate screen. I could see expensive suits, the glint of gold watches. I approached carefully, professionally, my server's smile fixed in place. That's when I smelled it. Bergamot and cedar. Expensive and dark. The kind of cologne that didn't come from department stores. It wrapped around me before I even saw him, and something in my chest tightened with an instinct I didn't understand. "Danger," my body whispered. "Predator." I looked up. He sat at the head of the table, and the world seemed to tilt slightly on its axis. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved from marble. All sharp angles and aristocratic features that would have been beautiful if they weren't so utterly cold. His suit was black, tailored so perfectly it seemed like a second skin. And when his eyes lifted to meet mine, I forgot how to breathe. Gray. His eyes were gray. Like smoke. Like steel. Like a storm about to break. "Champagne?" I managed, my voice steadier than I felt. He didn't answer, just watched me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. The men around him, clearly subordinates, clearly dangerous in their own right, had gone silent, waiting. One of them, a mountain of a man with a scar across his jaw, leaned forward slightly, protective. "Yes," the man finally said, his voice low and accented. Italian, I thought, though softened by years away from home. "Thank you." I poured, acutely aware of his gaze tracking every movement. My hands didn't shake. I wouldn't let them. I'd learned to be steady under scrutiny, under pressure, under the weight of being found lacking. Marcus had taught me that lesson well. "You're new," he observed, and it wasn't a question. 3 months, I replied, keeping my tone neutral, professional. "Don't engage," I reminded myself. "Just serve and move on." And before that, I glanced up, surprised by the personal question. His gray eyes held mine, and I saw something flicker in their depths. Curiosity, maybe, or something darker. Something possessive that made no sense for a stranger. "Before that doesn't matter," I said quietly. His lips curved, just slightly. Not quite a smile. "Doesn't it?" Before I could respond, chaos erupted at the ballroom entrance. Raised voices, the sound of someone arguing with security. I turned, my body already tensing with the need to escape conflict, to disappear. But I couldn't move, because walking through the doors, red-faced and clearly drunk, was Marcus. My ex-husband spotted me immediately, his eyes lighting up with malicious glee. "Emma!" he shouted, loud enough that nearby conversation stopped. "There you are. Look, everyone. My ex-wife serving drinks like the help she always was." Heat flooded my face. Shame, anger, humiliation, all of it crashing over me like a wave. I set down the champagne bottle carefully, precisely, buying myself time to breathe. "Marcus, you need to leave," I said quietly, aware of every eye in the room now turning toward us. Leave? I'm a guest here, sweetheart. Unlike you. He stumbled closer, and I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Business is good. Real good. Not that you'd know anything about that, would you? I took a step back, my hip bumping against the table behind me. The table where the gray-eyed man sat, still watching, still silent. Marcus's gaze dropped to my left hand, and his smile turned cruel. Where's your ring, Emma? Oh, that's right. You gave it back. Couldn't even keep a husband, could you? Couldn't be enough. The words hit like physical blows. Old wounds, carefully scabbed over, ripping open. I wanted to disappear, to sink through the floor, to be anywhere but here. Sir, you need to leave now. Security appeared, 2 large men flanking Marcus. But he wasn't done. He never was. You know what's funny? He said, his voice carrying across the silent ballroom. I heard you're still alone, still worthless, still... That's enough. The voice came from behind me, low and cold and absolutely commanding. I felt him before I saw him, that bergamot and cedar scent. The heat of him close. Too close. The gray-eyed man had stood, and suddenly the air itself seemed to change, to thicken with threat. Marcus's smile faltered. Who the hell? You will leave, the man said, each word precise and sharp as a blade. Now. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a fact, delivered with such absolute authority that even drunk, even belligerent, Marcus took a step back. The security guards moved forward, their hands on Marcus's arms, but their eyes were on the gray-eyed man, wary and respectful. Marcus was escorted out, still sputtering protests, but his voice faded into insignificance. The ballroom slowly returned to its previous hum of conversation, the guests turning away from the entertainment, already forgetting. But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Are you all right? I turned to find him standing closer than before, those storm-gray eyes fixed on my face with an intensity that made my heart race for entirely different reasons than fear. I'm fine, I lied. Thank you for... I should get back to work. I reached for the champagne bottle, but my hand was shaking now, trembling like I was made of nothing but fault lines ready to crack. He saw it. Of course he saw it. And his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. What's your name? He asked. Emma, I whispered, then cursed myself for answering, for giving him even that small piece of me. Emma. He said it like he was tasting it, rolling it around in his mouth to feel its shape. I'm Dante. I nodded, not knowing what else to do. My supervisor was watching from across the room, her expression stern. I was causing a scene, breaking protocol, failing. I started. Have dinner with me. The words hung between us, impossible and absurd. Men like him didn't ask women like me to dinner. Men like him existed in a different stratosphere, a different world entirely. I can't, I said automatically. Why not? Because... I gestured helplessly at my uniform, at the ballroom, at the vast gulf between us that should have been obvious. Because this is my job, and you're a guest, and I can't... Tomorrow, then. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a card. Black, expensive, with only a phone number embossed in silver. Call me. He pressed it into my palm, his fingers warm against my skin. The touch lasted only a second, but I felt it everywhere. A spark that traveled up my arm and settled somewhere dangerous in my chest. I won't, I said, but my fingers closed around the card. You will. He said it with absolute certainty, like he could see the future and I was already in it. Because your ex-husband was wrong, Emma. You are enough. More than enough. Then he was gone, moving through the crowd with his men flanking him. I noticed them now, the way they cleared a path, the way other guests stepped aside without seeming to realize they were doing it. Power, I thought, real power, the kind that didn't need to be announced. I looked down at the card in my hand. The number seemed to burn into my palm. I should throw it away, should forget this ever happened, should remember that I'd tried the fairy tale once before, and it had ended with me serving champagne while my ex-husband mocked me in front of strangers, but even as I thought it, I was tucking the card into my apron pocket. Even as I returned to work, my hands finally steady, I could still feel the ghost of his touch on my skin. Even as I told myself I would never call, I knew I was lying, because Dante had looked at me like I was visible, like I mattered, like I was something more than just the broken pieces Marcus had left behind. And God help me, I wanted to feel that way again. The rest of the shift passed in a blur. I moved mechanically, pouring drinks, clearing plates, smiling that professional smile that never reached my eyes, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the moment over and over. The way Dante had stood, the absolute authority in his voice, the protective fury I'd glimpsed before his expression went cold again. No one had stood up for me like that. Not in so long. When I finally clocked out at midnight, my feet screaming and my back aching, I found my supervisor waiting by the employee exit. "Emma." A word. My stomach dropped. Here it came. The lecture about causing scenes, about inappropriate interactions with guests, maybe even a termination. "I'm sorry about tonight," I started. "My ex-husband, Mr. Caruso asked about you." She cut me off, her expression unreadable. "Who?" "Dante Caruso." She said the name carefully, like it meant something I should understand. "He wanted to make sure you weren't harassed further. He also..." She paused, seeming to choose her words. "He left something for you." She handed me an envelope, heavy cream paper, my name written across the front in elegant script. "Mr. Caruso is an important client," my supervisor continued, her tone pointed. "Very important. If he requests your service at future events, you will accept." "Understood?" I nodded mutely, clutching the envelope. "Good. You're scheduled for the Rothschild Gala next Saturday. Mr. Caruso will be attending." She left me standing there in the harsh fluorescent light of the employee corridor, my world tilting on its axis for the second time that night. I didn't open the envelope until I was home. The deadbolt locked on my studio apartment. The sounds of the city muted through thin walls. My hands shook as I slid my finger under the seal. Inside was a check, $5,000, and a note, written in the same elegant hand, "For your trouble. Though I suspect your ex-husband was the one who should be compensating you. D." I stared at the check until my vision blurred. $5,000. More money than I'd seen since before the divorce, since Marcus had drained our accounts and left me with nothing but debt and the knowledge that I'd never been enough. I should return it. Should call that number on the black card and tell Dante Caruso that I wasn't for sale, that his money couldn't fix what was broken in me. Instead, I set the check carefully on my tiny kitchen counter and pulled out the black card. My phone felt heavy in my hand. The number glowed on the screen as I typed it in. I didn't press call. Not yet. But I saved it. Under a name that made my heart race and my breath catch. Dante. And as I finally fell into bed, exhausted and confused and terrified of the future, I could feel bearing down on me like a train. I couldn't stop thinking about storm gray eyes and the way he'd said my name. Like I was someone worth knowing, like I was someone worth protecting, like I was someone worth more than the nothing I'd become. I didn't call him. For 3 days, that black card sat on my kitchen counter like a live grenade, dangerous, and waiting. I'd pick it up while drinking my morning coffee, turn it over in my fingers while eating microwave dinners, stare at it before bed like it might explode if I looked away. The check, though, I cashed that. I had to. My landlord didn't care about my moral dilemmas, and the electricity company certainly didn't. $5,000 meant I could breathe for a few months, maybe even fix the rattling sound my car had started making. But taking his money felt like accepting something I didn't understand. A transaction with terms I hadn't read. On the 4th day, my phone rang. Unknown number. My heart stopped, then started again. Too fast. I knew somehow before I even answered. "You didn't call." Dante's voice, low and slightly amused, filled my ear like smoke. "How did you get my number?" My voice came out breathless, and I hated myself for it. "Does it matter?" "Yes." I stood from my threadbare couch, pacing the small space of my apartment. That's not normal. I needed to know you were safe. His tone shifted, losing the amusement. After your ex-husband's display, I wanted to ensure he didn't bother you again. Something cold slithered down my spine. What did you do? Nothing he didn't deserve. A pause. He won't approach you again, Emma. You have my word. I should have been horrified. Should have demanded answers, should have hung up and blocked the number. Instead, I felt something warm and dangerous unfurl in my chest. Relief. Safety. Things I hadn't felt in so long I'd forgotten what they tasted like. The gala is tomorrow night, he continued, as if we were discussing the weather. I'll send a car for you. 7 o'clock. I'll be working the event, I said, confused. I don't need... Not as staff. As my guest. The words hit me like cold water. What? Wear something beautiful. The car will wait if you're not ready. His voice softened, just slightly. Please, Emma. He hung up before I could refuse. I stared at my phone, my heart hammering against my ribs. This was insane. I didn't know this man. Didn't know anything about him except that he had money, power, and eyes that saw through me like I was made of glass, and that when Marcus had tried to humiliate me, Dante had stepped between us like a wall made of stone and fury. I called my supervisor. About the Rothschild gala tomorrow. You're not scheduled anymore, she interrupted, her tone strange. Careful. Mr. Caruso requested the change. You'll still be paid, of course. He was very generous about the compensation. Of course he was. I see. I managed. Emma. She hesitated. Be careful. Men like Dante Caruso. They don't do anything without a reason. The line went dead. I spent the next 24 hours in a state of barely controlled panic. I had nothing to wear to a gala. My closet held server uniforms, clearance rack jeans, and a single black dress I'd worn to my divorce hearing. Nothing beautiful. Nothing worthy of standing next to a man who wore power like other men wore cologne. At 6:30 the next evening, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find a woman in an elegant suit, holding garment bags and makeup cases. Behind her, 2 more women carried shoe boxes and jewelry cases. Ms. Emma Hart? The first woman smiled warmly. Mr. Caruso sent us. We're here to help you prepare. I stood frozen in my doorway, overwhelmed. I can't. This is too much. Mr. Caruso was very specific, she said gently. He said you would argue. He also said to tell you that refusing would hurt his feelings, and that he's not accustomed to having his feelings hurt. Despite everything, I felt my lips twitch. Manipulative bastard. Fine, I heard myself say. Come in. They transformed my tiny apartment into a salon. The dress they pulled from the garment bag made my breath catch. Deep emerald silk that shimmered like water, elegant and simple, and probably worth more than my car. The shoes were Louboutin. The jewelry was... I didn't even want to know. When they finished, I barely recognized the woman in my bathroom mirror. My dark hair fell in soft waves. My skin glowed. My eyes looked wider, more vibrant against the emerald silk. I looked like someone who belonged in Dante's world. I looked like someone Marcus would regret losing. The thought came unbidden and made me flinch. At exactly 7 o'clock, my phone buzzed. The car is here. D. I took a breath, grabbed the small clutch they'd provided, and headed downstairs. The car was a Mercedes, black and sleek, and probably armored, though I didn't know enough about these things to be sure. A driver in a crisp suit opened the door, his eyes professional and carefully blank. The interior smelled like leather and that bergamot cedar scent I'd come to associate with danger. With Dante. The drive took 20 minutes through evening traffic. I watched the city pass outside the tinted windows, my hands twisted together in my lap. What was I doing? This was crazy. I should tell the driver to turn around. Should run back to my safe, small life where I understood the rules, but I didn't. The Rothschild mansion was lit up like a jewel box, all golden light and classical architecture. Guests in designer gowns and tuxedos climbed the wide steps, and I felt my courage falter. The driver opened my door. Mr. Caruso was waiting inside, Ms. Hart. I forced myself to move, to climb those steps on shaking legs. At the entrance, a man in a dark suit, security clearly, nodded at me. "Miss Hart, please follow me." He led me through the crowded foyer, past champagne towers and string quartets, through rooms where I recognized faces from magazine covers and television screens. Everyone glittered. Everyone belonged. Everyone except me. We reached a private salon, smaller than the main ballrooms, elegant and quieter. And there, standing by the window with a glass of whiskey in his hand, was Dante. He turned as I entered, and whatever words I'd been preparing died in my throat. He wore a tuxedo like he'd been born in one, all clean lines and sophisticated power. But it was his face that held me, the way his expression shifted when he saw me. Something fierce and possessive flashing in those gray eyes before he controlled it. "Emma." He set down his glass, crossed the room in 3 strides. "You look..." He didn't finish, just stood there, looking at me like I was something precious he'd found and didn't intend to let go. "This is too much," I whispered. "The dress, the car, all of this. It's nothing." He reached out, his fingers gentle as they tilted my chin up. "You deserve beautiful things, Emma. You deserve to be treated like you matter." "You don't know me," I said, but my voice shook. "You don't know anything about me. Then let me learn." His thumb brushed across my cheekbone and I shivered. "Have dinner with me. Talk to me. Let me see you." "Why?" The question burst out of me, desperate. "Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just..." "You're not nobody." His voice went hard, almost angry. "Don't ever say that again." The intensity in his gaze should have frightened me. Instead, it made me feel alive in a way I hadn't since before Marcus, before I learned to make myself small and quiet and invisible. "I don't understand this," I admitted. "Neither do I." He stepped back, creating distance, though his eyes never left mine. "All I know is that I saw you in that ballroom, exhausted and hurting and trying so hard to be invisible, and something in me recognized you." "Recognized me as what?" "Mine." The word hung between us, possessive and absolute. I should have run. Should have been terrified by the certainty in his voice, by the way he looked at me like I was already his, like the choice had been made before I'd even known there was a choice to make. Instead, I felt heat bloom in my chest, dangerous and addictive. "I was married before," I said, needing him to understand. "It ended badly. I'm not good at this." "He was a fool." Dante's jaw tightened. "And he hurt you." It wasn't a question. "Yes." The admission felt like opening a vein. "He won't again." He said it with such finality, such dark promise, that I believed him. "No one will. Not while I'm here." A knock at the door interrupted us. One of the men from the ballroom, the scarred one, entered, his expression carefully neutral. "Boss, they're ready for you." Dante nodded, then offered me his arm. "Will you stay? Let me show you off. Let everyone see how beautiful you are." I knew I should refuse, knew this was moving too fast, spiraling into something I couldn't control. But when I looked into those storm-gray eyes, I saw something that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. I saw a man who would burn the world down if someone tried to hurt me. I took his arm. The ballroom erupted into noise and light as we entered. Conversations paused, heads turned, eyes tracked me with curiosity and speculation. I felt naked, exposed, every insecurity rising up to choke me. Dante's hand covered mine where it rested on his arm, warm and steady. "Breathe," he murmured. "I have you." And somehow, impossibly, I believed him. The evening passed in a blur of introductions I wouldn't remember, and conversations I barely followed. Dante never left my side, his presence a constant shield between me and the curious stares. When someone's eyes lingered too long, his hand would settle on the small of my back, possessive. When a man tried to pull him aside for business, Dante's refusal was polite, but absolute. "Not tonight," he said, and there was steel beneath the courtesy. "Tonight I'm otherwise engaged." I felt it then, the power that radiated from him. These people, wealthy and influential as they were, deferred to him, respected him. Some, I noticed, seemed almost afraid. "Who are you?" I asked quietly as we moved through the crowd. "Really?" His lips curved, but it wasn't quite a smile. "Does it matter?" "Yes." He guided me toward a balcony, away from the crowd. The night air was cool against my skin. The city spread out below us like scattered diamonds. "My family has business interests," he said carefully. "Import, export, investments. We've been in America for 3 generations, but our roots are Italian." "That's not what I'm asking." Those gray eyes fixed on me, assessing. "No," he agreed, "it's not." "Are you dangerous?" My heart hammered, but I needed to know. "Yes." He didn't hesitate, didn't try to soften it. "Very." "Should I be afraid of you?" "No, Dolcezza." The endearment rolled off his tongue like honey and smoke. "Never of me." "But for me, perhaps. Being close to me comes with risks." "What kind of risks?" "The kind that mean I surround myself with guards. The kind that mean I trust very few people. The kind that mean—" He stopped, his jaw tightening. "The kind that mean I shouldn't be standing here with you, pulling you into my world, but I'm too selfish to let you go." I should have walked away, should have thanked him for a lovely evening and returned to my safe, small life. Instead, I stepped closer. What if I don't want to be let go? His control cracked, just for a moment. I saw hunger flash in his eyes, raw and desperate. "Emma." "I'm tired of being invisible," I whispered. "I'm tired of being safe and small and nothing. When I'm with you, I feel like I matter, like I'm real." "You are real." His hands came up to frame my face, gentle despite the intensity burning in his gaze. "You're the most real thing I've encountered in years." He kissed me then, and the world fell away. His lips were soft but demanding, tasting of whiskey and dark promises. I melted into him, my hands fisting in his jacket, anchoring myself against the storm. He kissed me like he was starving, like I was air and he'd been drowning, and I kissed him back with all the desperate loneliness I'd been carrying for so long. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. "Come home with me," he said roughly. "Let me keep you safe. Let me—" "Yes." I didn't let him finish, didn't want to hear all the reasons this was insane. "Yes." His eyes closed, like I'd just given him something precious. "You don't know what you're agreeing to, then show me." He pulled back, studying my face with an intensity that should have been uncomfortable. "If you come with me, Emma, I won't want to let you go. You need to understand that. I'm not a casual man. I don't do temporary." "Good." The words surprised us both. "I'm done with temporary. I'm done with men who make me feel like I'm disposable." "You're not disposable." His voice went hard, almost violent. "You're precious. You're—" He seemed to struggle with the words. "You're mine. From the moment I saw you, you were mine." It should have terrified me, that possessive certainty. Instead, it felt like coming home. "Then take me home," I whispered. His smile was slow and dangerous and full of dark promise. "As you wish, Dolcezza." Dante's home wasn't a house. It was a fortress, disguised as a mansion. The car wound through iron gates that closed behind us with an ominous clang, past security checkpoints hidden in manicured gardens, up a private drive lined with trees that blocked any view from the street. The building itself was modern and imposing, all clean lines and dark glass that reflected the night sky like obsidian. "You live here alone?" I asked, my voice small in the quiet luxury of the car. "Not alone." Dante's hand covered mine on the seat between us. "I have staff, security, but my private quarters, yes, those are mine alone." The driver opened my door, and Dante was there immediately, offering his hand. I took it, letting him guide me up marble steps to massive double doors that opened before we reached them. Inside, the foyer was breathtaking. Soaring ceilings, art that probably belonged in museums, furniture that screamed old money and dangerous taste. But what caught my attention were the men. They stood at intervals throughout the space, all wearing dark suits, all with the same watchful, dangerous air. Guards. I counted 6 before I stopped, suddenly very aware of what security meant in Dante's world. "Marco," Dante addressed the scarred man from the gala, who appeared as if summoned. "We're not to be disturbed. Make sure the perimeter is secure." "Already done, boss." Marco's eyes flicked to me, assessing but not unkind. "Ms. Hart." I nodded, unsure of the protocol. Dante led me through the house, past rooms I barely registered, until we reached a private wing. Here, the atmosphere changed. Warmer, more lived in. He opened a door to what was clearly his study. All dark wood and leather, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Drink?" he offered, moving to a bar that probably cost more than my car. "Just water, please." My voice shook slightly. He poured water for me, whiskey for himself, then guided me to a leather sofa that felt like sitting on a cloud. He sat beside me, close but not touching, giving me space I wasn't sure I wanted. "You're shaking," he observed quietly. "I'm terrified," I admitted. "Of me? Of this? Of how fast this is happening? Of how much I want—" I stopped, pressing my lips together. "How much you want what?" His voice went low, intimate. "You." The word came out barely above a whisper. "I want you, and I don't understand why. I don't know you. I don't know anything about your life, your business, why you have armed guards, or why people look at you like you're something between a king and a killer. Perhaps I'm both." He set down his glass, turning to face me fully. "Emma, what I'm about to tell you, it doesn't leave this room. Not ever. Do you understand?" My heart hammered. "Yes. My family's business isn't entirely legal." He said it calmly, watching my reaction. "We control ports, shipping routes, certain territories. We settle disputes that can't go through official channels. We have our hands in industries that operate in the shadows. You're in the Mafia." I said it flatly, needing the words spoken plainly. "That's a crude term, but yes. My grandfather built this empire. My father expanded it. Now it's mine." His jaw tightened. "I won't apologize for what I am, Emma. I won't lie to you about it, but I also won't let it touch you if I can help it." I should have run. Should have demanded he take me home immediately. Instead, I asked, "Why tell me?" "Because I want you in my life, and my life comes with truths that aren't pretty." He reached out, his fingers gentle on my cheek. "Because you deserve honesty, even when it's ugly. And because—" He paused, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. "Because I haven't felt this way about anyone in so long I'd forgotten what it was like." "What way?" "Protective. Possessive. Desperate." His thumb traced my lower lip, and I shivered. "I saw you being hurt by that bastard ex-husband, and I wanted to kill him. I still do. The only thing stopping me is that it would upset you." The casual way he said it, like murder was just another option on the table, should have horrified me. Instead, something dark and wounded inside me whispered, "Someone would kill for you. Someone thinks you're worth protecting." "What did you do to Marcus?" I needed to know. "I had my people visit him. Explain that you were under my protection now, and that any further harassment would be met with consequences." His expression went cold, dangerous. He was also informed that certain financial discrepancies in his business dealings could easily come to light, unless, of course, he disappeared from your life entirely. "He's been stealing?" I wasn't surprised. Embezzling from his employer, yes. Has been for years. Dante's eyes narrowed. "Did he steal from you too?" "Everything." The word tasted bitter. "Emptied our accounts, maxed out credit cards in my name, left me with nothing but debt. His lawyer was better than mine. I couldn't prove anything. You can now." He pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, then showed me the screen. I had my people look into his finances. Everything's documented here. Every transaction, every theft. Enough to put him in prison for a decade, at least. I stared at the evidence, my hands trembling. "How did you—" "I have resources, and I take care of what's mine." He said it simply, like it was obvious. "Say the word, Emma, and he'll face charges. Or say another word and he'll simply disappear. Your choice." The power he was offering me was intoxicating and terrifying. Justice, served cold. by a man who played by rules I didn't understand. I just want him gone, I whispered. I just want to never see him again. Done. Dante set his phone aside, his attention returning fully to me. He won't bother you. Ever, I believed him. God help me. I believed every word. Why me? The question I'd been holding back finally escaped. You could have anyone. Women who understand your world, who belong in it. Why a broke server with an ex-husband and trust issues? He was quiet for a long moment, his gaze distant. 5 years ago I was engaged, he finally said. Sophia. Beautiful, sophisticated, from a family like mine. Everything was arranged. The wedding, the merger of our families, the future we'd build together. Jealousy, sharp and unexpected, cut through me. What happened? She was killed. His voice went flat, empty. A rival family sending a message. They put a bomb in her car. She died instantly. Oh, Dante. I reached for him without thinking, my hand on his arm. I loved her, he continued, his eyes on mine now, seeing through me. Or I thought I did. But what I felt for her was nothing compared to what I felt the moment I saw you. My breath caught. That's impossible. You don't even know me, don't I? He shifted closer, his hand cupping my face. I know you're stronger than you think. I know you've been hurt, and you're still standing. I know you work yourself to exhaustion trying to survive, trying to be invisible, trying to be enough for people who never deserved you. His thumb brushed away a tear I didn't realize had fallen. I know that when you smile, really smile, it's like the sun coming out, and I know that I will burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you again. You're insane, I whispered, but I was leaning into his touch. Probably. His lips curved. But I'm your kind of insane, aren't I? He kissed me before I could answer, and this time there was no gentleness. Just hunger, desperate and consuming. I kissed him back with equal fervor, my hands in his hair, his jacket, pulling him closer. He tasted like whiskey and dark promises, and I wanted to drown in him. We broke apart, both breathing hard. Stay, he said roughly. Tonight, tomorrow. Stay with me. I have work. Call in sick. His hands were in my hair, tilting my head back so he could trace kisses down my throat. Let me take care of you. Let me show you what it's like to be treasured. Dante. Please, Emma. The vulnerability in his voice undid me. I haven't asked anyone for anything in so long, but I'm asking you. Stay. I knew it was a mistake. Knew I was diving into water too deep, too dark, too dangerous. But I was so tired of being careful. So tired of being alone. Okay, I breathed. I'll stay. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of impossible luxury and growing obsession. Dante gave me a room in his private wing. A suite larger than my entire apartment, with a bathroom full of marble and gold fixtures. A closet that filled with designer clothes I didn't ask for, but that appeared anyway. But I rarely slept there. Most nights I ended up in Dante's bed, wrapped in his arms, listening to him breathe in the darkness. He held me like I might disappear, possessive even in sleep. He was insatiable in his need to know everything about me, my childhood, my dreams, my favorite foods, the books I loved, the music that made me cry. He asked questions like he was memorizing me, storing away every detail in some vast internal database. And he gave me pieces of himself in return. I learned that he spoke 4 languages fluently, that his mother had died when he was 12, leaving him in the care of a father who trained him to be ruthless, that he'd killed his first man at 16, a rival who'd threatened his younger sister, Lucia, who now lived in Italy, safe from this life. I learned that he played piano when he couldn't sleep, that he had nightmares about Sophia's death, that he collected first-edition books and read poetry in Italian when he thought no one could hear. I learned that beneath the dangerous exterior was a man who craved connection, who was desperately lonely, who'd built walls so high he'd forgotten how to let anyone in. Until me. You're staring, I said one morning, waking to find him propped on one elbow, watching me with those storm-gray eyes. I like looking at you. He traced a finger down my arm, leaving goosebumps in its wake. You're beautiful when you sleep, peaceful. I feel peaceful here. It was true. Despite everything, despite the armed guards, Despite knowing what he was, despite the danger that lurked at the edges of this perfect bubble, I felt safe. Is that wrong? No, Dolcezza. It's exactly right. He leaned down, kissed me softly. You're supposed to feel safe with me. Always. On the 15th day, but the bubble couldn't last forever. I was in Dante's study, reading while he worked at his desk, when Marco appeared in the doorway. His expression was grim. Boss, we have a problem. Dante's eyes cut to me, then back to Marco. My office. Now. He kissed my forehead. Stay here. Don't leave this room. Dante, what? Please, Emma. Trust me. His eyes were hard, dangerous. The ruthless man I'd glimpsed but never truly seen. Stay here. He left, and I heard the click of the lock. He'd locked me in. Panic fluttered in my chest. I moved to the door, tried the handle. Solid. I was trapped. For protection, I told myself. He's keeping you safe. But my hands were shaking as I pressed my ear to the door, trying to hear. Voices low and urgent. Dante's, controlled but with an edge of fury I'd never heard before. Marco's delivering information I couldn't quite make out. Then a word that made my blood run cold. Valentino. And another. Retaliation. I backed away from the door, my heart racing. This was real. The danger, the violence, the world Dante lived in. It wasn't just theory anymore. It was here, pressing against the walls of our perfect bubble. 20 minutes later, the lock clicked. Dante entered, his expression carefully controlled. But I could see the tension in his shoulders, the fury burning in his eyes. What happened? I asked. Nothing you need to worry about. He moved to pour himself a drink, his movements precise. Don't do that. I stood, crossing to him. Don't shut me out. You said you'd be honest with me. His jaw tightened. A rival family made a move against one of my operations. It's handled. Handled how? Emma. How, Dante? He slammed the glass down, making me flinch. Then his eyes went soft, horrified. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dolcezza. I didn't mean to. He reached for me, and I let him pull me close. I would never hurt you. Never. I know. And I did. But I need to understand what I'm part of now. What being with you means. He was quiet for a long moment, his arms tight around me. It means you're a target, he finally said, his voice rough. It means that anyone who wants to hurt me will see you as a weakness. It means I have to keep you surrounded by guards, locked away, protected every second. He pulled back to look at me. It means I should let you go, send you back to your safe, normal life, before someone uses you against me. Is that what you want? My voice shook. No. The word was torn from him. God help me, no. I want to keep you here, locked in this house where nothing can touch you. I want to chain you to me so you can never leave. I want... He stopped, his control cracking. I want you more than I've wanted anything. And it's going to get you killed. Then teach me, I said, my hands on his face making him look at me. Teach me how to survive in your world. Don't lock me away like I'm made of glass. Trust me to be strong enough. His eyes searched mine, desperate and afraid and hungry. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, I do. I rose on my toes, kissed him hard. I'm asking you to let me choose you. Danger and all. I'm asking you to stop trying to protect me from you and start teaching me how to protect myself. Emma, I love you. The words fell between us like stones, heavy and irrevocable. I know it's too soon. I know it's crazy, but I love you. And I'm not going anywhere. He stared at me like I'd just given him the world and taken it away at the same time. Then he was kissing me, desperate and fierce, his hands in my hair, holding me like I was the only solid thing in his universe. I love you, he said against my lips, his voice breaking. Ti amo, Dolcezza. I love you so much it terrifies me. We didn't make it to the bedroom. The next morning, I woke to find Dante already dressed, standing by the window with his phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the steel beneath it. I don't care what Valentino thinks he's owed. He crossed a line. A pause. Then make him understand, permanently, if necessary. He hung up, and only then seemed to notice I was awake. His expression softened immediately, the ruthless boss disappearing behind the man who loved me. "I didn't mean to wake you," he said, crossing to the bed. "Who's Valentino?" I asked, sitting up and pulling the sheet around myself. Dante's jaw tightened. "A problem I'm handling." "That's not an answer." He sat on the edge of the bed, his hand reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. "Marco Valentino runs a rival family. We've had an uneasy peace for years, territories divided, operations separate. But he's been testing boundaries, pushing into areas that belong to me. And last night, he hit one of my warehouses, burned it to the ground." Dante's eyes went cold. "He's sending a message, trying to make me look weak. What are you going to do?" "What I have to." He stood, his posture rigid. "I need to meet with my captains this afternoon, plan our response. You'll stay here with guards." "No." I climbed out of bed, wrapping the sheet around myself like armor. "You said you'd teach me. You said you'd stop locking me away." "This is different, Emma. This is dangerous. Everything about you is dangerous." My voice rose, frustration spilling over. "But I chose this. I chose you. So either trust me to handle it, or admit that you see me the same way Marcus did, as something fragile that needs to be protected from reality." His expression darkened. "Don't compare me to him. Then stop treating me like I'll break." I moved closer, my hand on his chest. "I survived a marriage that destroyed me. I survived losing everything. I'm stronger than you think." He stared at me for a long moment, conflict warring in his eyes. Then his hand covered mine, his thumb stroking across my knuckles. "Fine," he said quietly. "But you stay close to me. You don't leave my sight. And if I tell you to run, you run. Understood?" "Understood." The meeting was held in a private room at one of Dante's restaurants, a legitimate business that served as cover for less legal operations. The space was elegant, windowless, swept for bugs daily according to Marco, who arrived before us with 3 other guards. I sat beside Dante at the head of a long table, acutely aware of the 7 men who filed in over the next 10 minutes. They were all older than Dante, all carrying themselves with the confidence of men who'd survived decades in a brutal world, and they all stared at me with varying degrees of curiosity and concern. "Gentlemen," Dante began, his voice carrying absolute authority. "This is Emma. She's under my protection, and she's staying. Anyone has a problem with that?" Silence. Then an older man with silver hair and cold blue eyes spoke. "With respect, boss, bringing a civilian into this meeting is my decision." Dante cut him off. "And my decision is final. Now, shall we discuss Valentino, or would you prefer to continue questioning my judgment?" The man sat back, his expression carefully neutral, but I saw the calculation in his eyes, the assessment. I was a weakness, a liability, something that could be used against Dante. I lifted my chin and met his stare evenly. I wouldn't cower. The meeting proceeded with brutal efficiency. Maps were spread across the table, territories marked, operations detailed. Valentino had indeed been pushing boundaries, stealing shipments, bribing dock workers, intimidating business owners who paid Dante for protection. "He's trying to provoke a war," one of the captains said. "Make us overreact so he can claim self-defense to the commission." "Then we don't overreact," Dante replied calmly. "We respond precisely, strategically. Marco, I want surveillance on all of Valentino's operations. Every warehouse, every club, every safe house. I want to know where he sleeps, what he eats, who he's fucking." "Already in motion, boss. Good." Dante leaned back in his chair, his fingers drumming against the table. "We hit him where it hurts most. His money. The shipment coming in next week. The one with the pharmaceuticals. I want it intercepted. That's 10 million in product," another captain said. "He'll have it heavily guarded. I don't care if he has an army." Dante's voice went cold. "I want that shipment, and I want him to know it was me who took it." They discussed logistics, guard rotations, timing. I listened, trying to understand the chess game being played, the careful balance of power and violence. Then the silver-haired man spoke again. "What about collateral damage? Valentino has a wife, kids." We don't touch civilians, Dante said firmly. We're not animals. This stays between soldiers. Relief flooded through me. Despite everything, despite the violence inherent in this world, Dante had lines he wouldn't cross. The meeting concluded an hour later. As the men filed out, several nodded to me. Respect, maybe, or at least acknowledgement. I'd sat through their war council without flinching. It was something. When we were alone, Dante pulled me close. You're trembling. I'm fine. I wasn't. My hands were shaking, my heart racing with the reality of what I'd just witnessed. Plans for theft, for violence, discussed as casually as business strategy. You don't have to pretend with me, Dolcezza. His lips brushed my temple. It's all right to be scared. I'm not scared of you, I said truthfully. I'm scared for you. His arms tightened around me. I've survived this long. I'm not going anywhere. You can't promise that. No, he agreed quietly. But I can promise that I'll fight like hell to come back to you. Every time. Over the next week, I watched Dante orchestrate his response to Valentino with the precision of a master tactician. Guards were repositioned, surveillance established, plans refined and refined again. He kept me close, as promised. I attended meetings, learned names and faces, began to understand the intricate web of loyalty and fear that held his organization together. And I saw the toll it took on him. Late at night, when he thought I was sleeping, I'd feel him leave the bed. I'd hear him in his study, on the phone. His voice low and hard. Sometimes I'd wake at 3 a.m. to find him at the piano, playing melancholy pieces that made my chest ache. You need to sleep, I said one night, padding into the study in one of his shirts. Can't. He didn't look up from the papers spread across his desk. The shipment arrives tomorrow. Everything needs to be perfect. I moved behind him, my hands on his shoulders, kneading the tension I found there. When was the last time you slept more than 3 hours? I'll sleep when this is over, Dante. I can't afford mistakes, Emma. He finally looked up at me, and I saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the weight of responsibility. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and people die. My people. Maybe even you. Then let me help. I circled the desk, perched on the edge in front of him. Tell me what you need. I need you safe. His hand settled on my thighs, warm through the thin fabric. I need to know that when this gets ugly, and it will get ugly, you're somewhere Valentino can't reach you. Where would that be? Here? Surrounded by your guards? Some safe house where I'll go crazy waiting? I cupped his face, making him look at me. I'm safest with you. Right here. You have too much faith in me. I have exactly the right amount of faith in you. I leaned down, kissed him softly. Come to bed. You can't plan if you're too exhausted to think straight. 5 more minutes. Now, Dante. I stood, pulling him up with me. Your captains have their orders. Your men know what to do. You've done everything you can. Now come to bed and let me take care of you. He followed, too tired to argue. In the bedroom, I pushed him down onto the mattress, straddled his hips, and began unbuttoning his shirt. Emma. Shh. I kissed his throat, his collarbone, working my way down. You take care of everyone else, tonight. Let me take care of you. I made love to him slowly, tenderly, until the tension finally left his body and he fell asleep in my arms, his head on my chest, vulnerable in a way he'd never let anyone else see. I stayed awake, running my fingers through his hair, listening to him breathe, and tried not to think about tomorrow. The call came at 4 a.m. Dante was awake instantly, his phone in his hand before the second ring. Talk to me. I sat up, my heart hammering as I watched his expression go from focused to furious. When? A pause. How many? Another pause, longer this time. I'm on my way. He was already moving, pulling on clothes with practiced efficiency. Stay here. Lock the door. Don't answer for anyone but me or Marco. What happened? I climbed out of bed, reaching for him. Valentino moved first. His voice was cold, controlled, but I could see the rage burning in his eyes. He hit the shipment early. Killed 3 of my men. Horror washed over me. Oh, God. Stay here, Emma. He gripped my shoulders, his eyes intense. Promise me. No matter what you hear, no matter how long I'm gone, you stay in this room until I come for you. Dante, please, promise me. The desperation in his voice broke me. I promise. He kissed me hard, desperately, like he was memorizing the taste of me. Then he was gone, the door closing behind him, the lock clicking into place. I was alone. I paced the room like a caged animal, my mind conjuring worst-case scenarios. 3 men dead, a war starting, Dante walking into danger because Valentino had outmaneuvered him. Hours passed. Dawn broke, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold that felt obscene given what was happening. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He should have stayed away from what's mine. My blood ran cold. I stared at the message, my hands shaking. Then another came through. A photo. Of me. Taken yesterday, walking through Dante's garden with guards flanking me. Taken from outside the property, from a distance, with a high-powered lens. Valentino knew where I was, knew what I looked like, knew that I mattered to Dante. I was exactly what Dante had feared. A weakness, a target. The phone buzzed again. Another message. Tell him to back down, or you're next. I should have been terrified. Should have called Marco. Should have hidden. Should have done anything except what I actually did. I called the number back. It rang twice before a man answered. Well, the little girlfriend has some spine after all. If you want to send Dante a message, I said, my voice steadier than I felt, send it to him. Leave me out of this. But you're the whole point, sweetheart. Valentino's voice was smooth, cultured, dangerous. Dante thinks he can take what's mine? I'll take what's his. Fair is fair. I'm not a thing to be taken. No? He laughed. Then what are you? His whore? His pet? A little nobody he picked up to amuse himself? The words hit like slaps, echoing things Marcus had said, things I'd believed about myself for so long. I'm the woman he loves, I said quietly, and if you think threatening me will make him back down, you don't know him at all. It'll just make him come for you harder. Silence. Then, you might be right about that, which is why I'm not going to threaten you, sweetheart. I'm going to take you. Today. Maybe I'll send him back pieces. Maybe I'll keep you for myself. Haven't decided yet. The line went dead. I stood frozen, the phone in my trembling hand, as the full weight of my situation crashed down on me. I'd just painted an even bigger target on my back. And Dante wasn't here to protect me. I was alone, locked in a room, waiting to be prey. For the first time since meeting Dante, I understood true fear. Not fear of him, but fear of what loving him would cost, and I understood something else too. I wouldn't hide, wouldn't cower, wouldn't let Valentino use me as a weapon against the man I loved. If he wanted me, he'd have to come get me, and I'd make sure he regretted it. I grabbed my phone, dialed Marco's number, and prepared for war. Marco answered on the first ring. Ms. Hart, are you? Valentino just called me, threatened me. He's planning to take me today. The words tumbled out, my voice shaking but clear. He knows where I am. He has photos of me. A string of Italian curses exploded through the phone. Stay in the room. I'm sending men to your location now. Don't open the door for anyone except me. I'm calling the boss. No. The word surprised us both. Dante is dealing with the aftermath of the attack. He doesn't need this distraction right now. With respect, Ms. Hart, you are his priority. He'll want to know. And when he finds out, he'll do something reckless. He'll come back here, leave himself exposed. Maybe get killed because he's trying to protect me instead of protecting himself. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. How long until you can get here? 10 minutes. Maybe less. Then we have 10 minutes to make this place a fortress. I moved to the window looking down at the grounds. What do I need to do? Marco was quiet for a moment. Then, there's a panic room. In the closet, behind the mirrored door. The code is 0717, Dante's birthday. Get inside and lock it. It's bulletproof, soundproof. You'll be safe there until we arrive. I found the door, punched in the code with trembling fingers. It swung open to reveal a small room, maybe 8 feet square, with monitors showing security feeds, a phone, water, supplies, a bunker designed for exactly this scenario. "I'm in," I told Marco. "Good, lock it. Don't come out until you hear my voice." I started to close the door, then stopped. On the monitors, I could see the grounds, the gate, the perimeter. And I could see something else too, a black van pulling up to the gate. Men with guns climbing out. "Marco, they're already here." More cursing. "How many?" "6. Maybe more in the van." My heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. "They're cutting through the gate. The guards. I see 2 of your men moving to intercept." I watched, helpless as gunfire erupted on the screens. Silent on my end, but I could see the muzzle flashes, see one of Dante's guards go down. "Marco, they're getting through. Emma, lock that door now. I'm 3 minutes out." "They're in the house." I could see them on the interior cameras, moving with military precision through rooms I'd walked through just yesterday. They know where they're going. I should have locked the door, should have hidden like Marco said. But something in me rebelled against cowering, against being the helpless victim one more time. I'd spent years being invisible, being powerless, being nothing, not anymore. I left the panic room, grabbed my phone, and looked around Dante's bedroom for anything I could use as a weapon, his closet. I pulled open drawers until I found what I was looking for, a gun. Small, elegant, deadly. I'd never held a weapon before. The weight of it in my hand was terrifying and empowering in equal measure. The bedroom door handle turned, locked. Then the sharp crack of someone kicking it. Once, twice. The wood splintered. I raised the gun with shaking hands, pointing it at the door as it burst open. 2 men entered, both armed, both moving with the casual confidence of professionals. They stopped when they saw me, surprise flickering across their faces. "Well," one of them said, smiling. "Boss said she had spine, didn't say she was stupid." "Put the gun down, sweetheart," the other one said, his weapon trained on my chest. "Before you hurt yourself. Get out." My voice shook, but I didn't lower the gun. "Get out of this house." "Can't do that. We have orders." The first man moved closer, slow and careful. "You can come easy, or you can come hard. Your choice. I'm not going anywhere with you. See, that's not actually an option." He was close now. Too close. Dropped the gun, and I pulled the trigger. The recoil surprised me, sent me stumbling back. The shot went wide, embedding in the wall. But it was enough. Both men dove for cover, giving me precious seconds. I ran. Out of the bedroom, down the hall, my bare feet silent on marble floors. I could hear them behind me, shouting, coordinating. The house I'd felt safe in was now a maze of danger. I took a turn, another, trying to remember the layout. The study, Dante's study, had another exit, a private staircase to his office below. Gunfire erupted behind me. I felt something burn across my upper arm, hot and sharp. I'd been hit. But I kept running. Made it to the study, slammed the door, fumbled with the lock. My arm was bleeding, the pain starting to register through the adrenaline. The door shuddered under heavy impacts. They were breaking through. I found the hidden staircase, took the steps 2 at a time, emerged in Dante's office. Locked that door too. My phone was buzzing. "Marco." I answered, gasping. "Emma, where are you?" "Dante's office, ground floor. I'm hit." "You're what?" "Just my arm. I'm okay, but they're..." The office door exploded inward. "They're here." I raised the gun again, but hands grabbed me from behind. Where had he come from? And twisted it from my grip. I screamed, fought, clawed. But there were too many of them. "Feisty little thing," one of them laughed, pinning my arms. "Boss is gonna love breaking you." Then the windows shattered. Marco and 4 of Dante's men came through in a storm of broken glass and violence. I'd never seen anything like it. Precise, brutal, efficient. Within seconds, the men holding me were dead or unconscious, and Marco was pulling me behind him, his gun tracking for additional threats. "Clear," one of his men called. Marco turned to me, his eyes scanning my injuries. "You were supposed to stay in the panic room." "I know." I was shaking now, shock setting in. "I'm sorry, I couldn't hide. I couldn't—" "You shot at them?" He sounded almost impressed. "I missed. But you tried." He pressed a cloth to my bleeding arm. "That's more than most civilians would do. Boss is going to be—" He stopped, his expression shifting. "Ah, hell." I heard it then. The roar of engines, multiple vehicles screeching to a halt outside, doors slamming. And then Dante's voice, loud and absolutely furious. "Where is she?" He burst into the office like a force of nature, his suit splattered with blood that I prayed wasn't his eyes wild. Those gray eyes found me, took in the blood on my arm, the broken glass, the bodies on the floor, and something in him shattered. "Emma." He was across the room in 3 strides, his hands on my face, my arms, checking for injuries with shaking fingers. "Dio, Emma, what? You were supposed to be safe. You were supposed to—" "I'm okay." I caught his hands, squeezed them. "I'm okay, Dante. I promise." "You're bleeding." His voice cracked. "You're hurt." "Just a graze. I've had worse from kitchen accidents." He pulled me into his arms, held me so tight I could barely breathe. I felt him trembling, felt the fear and fury rolling off him in waves. "I should have been here," he said against my hair. "I should have protected you. You did. Your training, your guards, your panic room, it all protected me." I pulled back to look at him, and I protected myself too. "I'm not helpless, Dante. I'm not fragile. No." He touched my face like I was something precious and miraculous. "You're extraordinary." Marco cleared his throat. "Boss, we need to move. Valentino knows she's still here. He'll send more." "He won't send anyone." Dante's expression went cold, deadly. "Because I'm going to end this. Tonight." "Dante," I started. "No." He turned to Marco. "Take her to the safe house in Connecticut. Triple the guards. No one in or out without my authorization." "I'm not leaving you," I said firmly. "Emma, this isn't a discussion." "You're right, it's not." I stepped closer, my hand on his chest. "You said you wouldn't lock me away. You said you'd trust me to be strong enough. So trust me now. This is different. This is war." "Then let me be part of it." I could see him wavering. "Not in the fighting, not in danger. But don't send me away where I'll go insane wondering if you're alive. Please." He stared at me for a long moment, conflict warring in his eyes. Then he turned to Marco. "The meeting with Valentino, is it arranged?" "Yes, boss. Neutral ground, as requested. 2 hours." "Good." Dante's jaw tightened. "Emma stays with me until then. After—" He looked at me. "After, we'll see." The next 2 hours were a blur of organized chaos. Dante's men mobilized with military precision, weapons checked, vehicles prepared, strategies reviewed. I sat in his office, my arm bandaged by a doctor who appeared and disappeared without a word, and watched Dante transform into someone I barely recognized. Gone was the man who held me gently, who played piano in the dark, who looked at me like I was his whole world. This was the Mafia boss, cold, calculating, absolutely ruthless. "You can't go in there expecting to negotiate," one of his captains was saying. "Valentino crossed too many lines. He has to be made an example of." "I know." Dante's voice was flat, which is why I'm not going in expecting to negotiate. "Boss?" He touched what's mine. Dante's eyes were ice. "He sent men into my home. He hurt the woman I love. There's only one way this ends." My blood ran cold. "Dante, what are you planning?" He looked at me, and for a moment I saw the conflict return. "Something I should have done years ago. You're going to kill him." "Yes." He didn't flinch from it. "And anyone who stands with him, that'll start a war." "The war already started. I'm just going to finish it." He crossed to me, knelt so we were eye level. "I need you to understand something, Dolcezza. I've lived in this world my whole life. I've made compromises, kept peace, played by rules that men like Valentino see as weakness. But the moment he threatened you, all of that ended. I don't care about peace anymore. I don't care about the commission or the other families or the consequences. I only care about keeping you safe. Even if it destroys you, even then. He kissed my forehead. You're worth it. You're worth everything. Then don't go. I grabbed his jacket, desperate. Walk away. We can leave, start over somewhere he can't find us. He'll find us. Men like Valentino always do. His hands covered mine. The only way to keep you safe is to eliminate the threat, permanently. I wanted to argue, wanted to find some other solution, but looking into his eyes, I saw the terrible truth. He was right. Valentino wouldn't stop, wouldn't give up. Not until one of them was dead. Come back to me, I whispered. Please, Dante. Come back. Always. He kissed me, soft and lingering. I promise. He left me in the safe house, an anonymous building in the city, surrounded by guards, with Marco standing watch. The meeting was happening across town, in a warehouse on the waterfront. Neutral ground, supposedly. I paced, unable to sit, unable to think about anything except Dante walking into danger. He'll be fine, Marco said quietly. The boss has survived worse. Has he survived walking into a meeting with someone who wants him dead? More times than I can count. We waited. Minutes felt like hours. I checked my phone obsessively, though I knew Dante wouldn't call, couldn't call. Not in the middle of... The door burst open. I spun, heart in my throat, gun in hand before I realized I'd grabbed it, but it wasn't an enemy. It was one of Dante's men, breathing hard, blood on his suit. It's done, he said. Boss says to bring her home. Valentino, Marco asked. Dead. Him and 6 of his captains. The rest surrendered. The man's smile was sharp. Boss sent their heads to the commission with a message. Anyone else who touches what's his ends the same way. I should have been horrified. Should have been disgusted by the violence, the brutality. Instead, I felt only relief. It was over. And the boss? I managed. Waiting for you. Dante was standing in his study when I arrived, staring out the window at the city lights. His suit was ruined, blood splattered across the expensive fabric. But he was alive, whole. Dante. I said his name like a prayer. He turned, and the cold, deadly boss disappeared. What remained was just a man, exhausted, relieved, desperate. Emma. He crossed to me, pulled me into his arms. It's over. You're safe. His voice broke. I thought I might lose you. When Marco told me about the attack, that you'd been shot, I'm here. I held him tight. I'm safe. We both are. He pulled back just enough to look at me, his hands framing my face. I need you to understand what tonight means. What I did. The commission won't forget this. Other families will see it as aggression. There will be consequences. I don't care. Emma, I don't care. I repeated firmly. You kept me safe. You kept us safe. That's all that matters. It might mean we have to leave the city, go somewhere quiet, away from this life. He watched me carefully. Would you do that? Leave everything behind to be with me? I thought about my tiny apartment, my serving job, the life I'd built from nothing after Marcus destroyed me. It wasn't much. It had never been much. But Dante was everything. Yes, I said simply. Anywhere, as long as I'm with you. Something in his expression shifted. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. I bought this the day after I met you, he said quietly, opening it to reveal a ring, emerald surrounded by diamonds, elegant and perfect. I knew even then that I'd never let you go, that you were mine, and I was yours, and nothing else mattered. Tears blurred my vision. Dante, I know it's fast, I know it's insane, but marry me, Emma. Let me spend the rest of my life keeping you safe, making you happy, showing you that you're worth everything. He dropped to one knee, and my breath caught. Marry me. I thought about Marcus, about the cheap ring he'd given me and the emptier promises. I thought about how he'd asked where my ring was, mocking me for not being enough to keep. And then I looked at Dante, dangerous, obsessive, absolutely devoted Dante, and I knew. This was real. This was forever. Yes, I whispered. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto my finger, and it fit perfectly. Of course it did. He'd probably known my size from the moment he touched my hand. Then he was standing, lifting me into his arms, kissing me like I was air and he'd been drowning. Mine, he murmured against my lips. Finally, completely mine. Yours, I agreed. Always. 3 months later, we were married in a small chapel in Italy, with Dante's sister Lucia as my maid of honor, and Marco standing as best man. The ceremony was private, intimate, with only Dante's most trusted people present. I wore ivory silk and the emerald ring that never left my finger. Dante wore a tuxedo and an expression of such fierce possession that several guests smiled knowingly. When the priest said we could kiss, Dante pulled me close and whispered, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Even better than taking over the family business?" I teased. "Infinitely better." He kissed me softly. "You gave me something I'd forgotten existed. Hope, a future beyond violence and power plays. A reason to build something beautiful." We'd already started that building. The house in Connecticut was being renovated, turned into a home instead of just a fortress. Dante was slowly extracting himself from the bloodier aspects of his business, delegating to trusted captains while he focused on legitimate investments. It wouldn't be easy. There would always be dangers, always be threats from people who saw his happiness as weakness, but we'd face them together. That night, in the villa Dante had rented for our honeymoon, he made love to me with a tenderness that made my heart ache. Afterward, I lay in his arms, listening to his heartbeat, feeling utterly safe. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "Choosing this life? Choosing me?" I thought about my old life, the invisibility, the loneliness, the constant feeling of not being enough. I thought about Marcus's cruelty, asking where my ring was like it defined my worth. Then I looked at the emerald on my finger, at the man who'd put it there, who'd moved heaven and earth to keep me safe. "Never," I said firmly. "You gave me something I'd lost, myself. You made me feel visible, valued, loved. How could I regret that? I love you, Emma Caruso." He said my new name like a benediction. "I love you too." I kissed him softly, my dangerous, obsessive, perfect husband. He smiled against my lips. "Perfect is a strong word. You're perfect for me. That's all that matters." And it was true. We weren't a fairy tale. We were something darker, more complicated, more real. A server and a mafia boss. A broken woman and a dangerous man. Two people who'd found each other in the chaos and decided to build something beautiful from the wreckage. As I drifted off to sleep in Dante's arms, safe and loved, and finally completely whole, I thought about how far I'd come. Marcus had asked where my ring was, using its absence to cut me down. Now I wore a ring that symbolized something he'd never understand. Real love, fierce protection, absolute devotion, and I'd never take it off. Not for anything. Not for anyone. Because I was Emma Caruso now, wife of Dante Caruso, and I was finally, beautifully enough.